Adam Housley. How are you, sir?
Good, Mark. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So, what did you discover? What have you been reporting that's big news here?
Well, last week we were being contacted and had touched base with some sources of ours that said, hey, there's more to this story that Nunes has that's coming out. The media is missing it. And they were concerned because they felt that eventually it would come out, and they wanted to make sure that it was correct because, in a lot of cases they don't want their methods to be known. And so as part of that, we started looking into it more in depth and then really reached out to everybody that we could think of. And what we found was that basically former National Security Advisor under President Obama, Susan Rice, requested to unmask the names of Trump's transition officials. Now, the unmasked names were people associated with Donald Trump. They were sent to, and then those names were sent to everybody at the NSC, some people at DOD, James Clapper, John Brennan, basically the people at the top, including the former Deputy National Security Advisor, Ben Rhodes.
Let me just slow down a little bit. How about Loretta Lynch?
Well, we believe that too. I mean, I do have people that have said that. I haven't had a clue to that today, candidly, Mark. Just because we've got there's a lot of ways this could go. At this point, our priority was to ensure we.
Well, let me just ask a couple. Yeah. I'll let you move. I want you to tell your story. How about Valerie Jarrett? Do we know?
We don't know.
How about the President of the United States? Do we know?
We don't know.
Okay, go ahead.
I believe we will know on all three of those.
Okay. You go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Oh, no, you're fine. Go ahead. Ask questions when you want. What's interesting to us is I'm told by the folks that do this, and there's a lot here, Mark, that what was unprecedented to them was the way they get these reports all the time. And the only time you're ever going to see an American name on those reports is if it's someone involving national security, there's a crime, maybe international crime that they're watching, or, for example, let's say it's Adam Housley talking to Joe Smith in Belgium, and then after I hang up with Joe Smith calls somebody else and says, hey, we're going to get Housley. Then my security is a threat, so my name might appear then. So really it's only going to appear about 3 times. And what they were noticing, which is what we're now being told Nunes found out through sources, that maybe the White House found out separately from Nunes through their investigation or looking into this stuff, is that consistently these names were showing up in so basically unmasked in reports, intelligence reports, which is unprecedented, I'm told, when it has nothing to do with national security, other things I mentioned. And they were showing up specifically Donald Trump, his people that supported him, family, and this has been going on for a very long time, potentially up to a year.
This is you know what amazes me about this, Adam Housley, is that I've been checking other media sources throughout the day, and it's either downplayed or ignored. When I was a young guy and I worked at Justice and I was chief of staff to an attorney general, this kind of stuff would have been headline news everywhere. I mean, don't you agree? I mean,
yeah. As someone who's been in the journalism for 20 years, people who know me, you don't know me obviously very well, but people who know me know that I'm a straight shooter. The only reason why I mention that is I'm not in this I don't have a horse in this race. I just want truth. And looking at this stuff, I'm like, okay, well, maybe our first reports, I'm working with our .com investigative reporter here, Malia Zimmerman, and others at Fox. Well, first report last week when we kind of came out with a little more generic because we didn't have it to specifics yet, but it was still kind of a bombshell on Friday. I'm like, okay, I can maybe see them laying back because we broke it. They don't want to jump in if they don't have anything. But today, when this came out, I haven't had a chance to really look at other ones. I've been told, like now by you and others, that it hasn't really been covered. I will say I watched the White House press briefing and was shocked. It took 4 questions to get to it. To me, as an American, whether I support Trump or not, or whether I support a Republican or a Democrat or whatever, it doesn't matter to me. As an American, I'm telling you that this is, to me, was a bit surprising. I know we all joke about, hey, our phone call is being recorded. They're listening in, but in some respects they are. And, the question becomes, how far does this go? Now, we're not alleging there's any crime here. We don't know that yet. Theoretically, there's some loopholes that the unmasking would not be against the law, but that's not my expertise. I'm told the leaking is more what needs to be looked at, but it all, I think, concerns us, and that's why we started looking into it.
You may not know this, but maybe you can pursue your sources. I mean, if they're doing this to Trump, isn't it possible they're doing this to other people, too?
No comment.
No comment. Does that mean you don't know, or you're digging?
We're digging on all this stuff, and just so you know, Mark, we have other stories we're digging into as well. This isn't just about finding anything that, it's a little frustrating at times that people say, because you work wherever you happen to work, oh, you're supporting this person or that person because of where you work. We're doing this because we want truth. It's our job as journalists, and that's what we are. There's a part of the news division is to find out what's happening here, and so yeah.
Do you think there's potentially other politicians whose names are in these reports?
I think it's absolutely possible.
Do you think it's likely? Or you don't know?
We're looking at that. We're getting close. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Do you think you'll get answers eventually, that we'll know what took place here?
I think we will. I think we are. I think people that don't normally talk to us, the part of the problem has been, a lot of the folks that in these communities and that work for these agencies are, they have political beliefs as well, but their number one priority is to do things right. And that's been something that's been very positive as part of this story. And they want to make sure they get us information that doesn't hurt any future intelligence gathering that might save American lives. And at the same time, they don't want to violate any laws. So I know and we have to be careful what we learn because I can't accept, classified information. So that makes it a little bit more difficult in going forward with this investigation. But I'd rather be tentative, not tentative, but aggressively safe than to jump over the line. Gone to a greater extent, and they
can I assume these are pros who were really upset about the politicization of this process?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Can I assume that they feel the process has in fact been politicized?
Absolutely.
And do you, as a journalist, having looked at this, you don't have to comment, think the process has been politicized?
It's not my job. That's your job to decide. I'll put the facts out there and let you guys think. I'll tell you that we're finding a lot of stuff. That's clear by reports so far. Just in 4 days, really, from Friday when we first broke it to today. Look how much it's already expanded.
So you have more stuff, but you want to get things locked down before you come out with it. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I'll tell you an example. I think I spoke to you once before about Benghazi a long time ago. We did that story, and myself and my colleague Jennifer Griffin at the time were told, and we hammered Republicans too, just so you're not just Democrats, because
I understand
culpability as well. We were told stuff like, "Oh, when's your next Homeland script coming out?" This kind of stuff. We were told there was no.
Adam, I got a hard. Can I carry over for a few more minutes?
Sure,
I know you're busy.
Sure.
All right, don't hang up. I'm with Adam Housley. And I appreciate it. He's with the Fox News channel that he has held over for us. He's an award-winning journalist, by the way. He's the real deal. Adam Housley, you reported that this has been going on for a year or so. Can you explain that?
Well, our guys, and we have multiple people, especially something like this, you have to make sure that we have a lot just because of the nature of this day and age. They insist, everybody, other sources are reporting it went on since, depending on who you look at, May, June, July, somewhere in there. We have been told by our guys that it was been going on since before then, maybe even as long as a year, yeah. And that the question really becomes too, Mark, and this is what something was explained to me, is Susan Rice, who ordered the unmasking, or at least had requested it, someone had to come to her at some point and tell her there was something in those reports. So there's a lot more to this that we have to look into. And as you might imagine, this is something you're looking into everything as you can. And once you get something or a lead, you follow that lead and you hope that it's the right direction. So we've got a couple of, there's some dead ends in there too, you always find. But there's a lot here. There's a lot of ways this can go, and it may go multiple ways, actually.
Why were they just focused in on Trump or others, or we don't know yet, or you're digging into that?
We're digging into that.
Okay. My next question is this. What good would it do just to circulate it to other agencies and departments? She reports directly to the President of the United States, correct? I'm just asking.
Yes, and works closely with Ben Rhodes as well.
And works closely with her deputy, Ben Rhodes.
Correct.
It's just hard for me to believe that this would be going on and they wouldn't say, okay, let me tell my boss, or let me, what in other words.
Well, if you look at what we found so far, Mark, is we know that the names and the people associated with Donald Trump were sent to everybody at the NSC, some people at DOD, Clapper, Brennan, basically everybody at the top, including Rhodes. So that is a significant, not a huge group of people really when we think of numbers, but it's a significant group of people that these names were sent to. We know there was a lot, leaked out about the president, the current president, and some of that has come true and some of it hasn't. But the fact is, there's still leaks, and we've had Farkas talking about it, the former Deputy Secretary of Defense, Evelyn Farkas, saying that she was urging her colleagues and, frankly speaking, the people on the Hill to get as much of the information as they can get before they left. So, I mean, it's been out there in some ways, and now we're finding it, the depth of it all.
And as far as you know right now, it has nothing to do with Russia? Isn't it possible that it has something to do with everything at some point?
Maybe. I mean, our folks have told us, and then we went to some Hill sources we have that were not Nunes, and they say the same thing, that what they've seen so far did not involve Russia.
So there'd be absolutely no reason to do any of this.
Except for politics.
Except for politics.
Potentially.
And it doesn't do any good for politics unless people at these agencies or people at the White House intended to get it beyond these agencies in the White House. That's what's going through my mind. In other words, you go to all the trouble to do the unmasking, to do the circulating. You want it out. That's the whole goal, isn't it?
Well, that's what we're going to find out.
Yeah.
Our goal here, is again not to have Donald Trump tweet about our story or the Republicans to go out and say, "Look what we Fox News found." I could care less who this helps. I care about truth. And that's the same thing that happened with Benghazi. We spoke about how many years ago that was. The idea here is to find out what's going wrong. And what the frustrating part for me, Mark, as a correspondent and as a reporter who's been doing this for some time, is that it seems like we have, there are a lot of folks in these agencies that I speak to, military as well as on Capitol Hill. And they are frustrated with a lot of things. 9/11 happened because, there's a lot of people that complain about how 9/11 happened, but in the agencies, I'm told, primarily because of stovepiping, which means information went straight up and didn't go left and right. That was a significant problem. It's more than that now. And, you have agencies that have major internal problems, guys not getting along, with each other, and politics getting involved in it. And I think that you're starting to see now folks doing the best they can to try to get some of this information out to help make their agencies better, hopefully in the long run, by getting this out into the public domain, but without, obviously harming American intelligence. But American intelligence is getting out anyway. Look what WikiLeaks has been releasing. So, it's a situation where we're in a very turbulent time, to say the least.
All right, let me ask you this. Do we know if the information, I mentioned the Attorney General, do we know if the information went to the FBI, Mr. Comey, or the FBI?
I can tell you this. The FBI, I've been told, has been stonewalling, was the word that was given to me, the Congressional Committee.
The Congressional Committee on this issue, they've been stonewalling?
They've been making it difficult. They've been slow rolling, I'm told. The word was they've been slow rolling Nunes, and that's one reason why he had to go to the White House. And I think that was one of the things that upset some of these guys was the original reporting was it sounded like he was going to the president and doing all this, but I'm told that he knew about this since January, and these are from people in the industry.
So let's slow down. So he would have known about it before Trump was even inaugurated.
I don't know that. I know he knew about it since January. I'm not sure if it was before inauguration or after inauguration. Okay. We knew about it before Trump's tweet in March, where he claimed he was being wiretapped, which hasn't really been, at this point, proven correct. But in the sense of Nunes, we know he knew in January. And we know that for weeks he tried to get the information and was slow-rolled, was the quote, by one of my sources. Slow-rolled, another one said stonewalled, and the agencies weren't giving him access. And so, like other chairmen, he went to the SCIF, which is the secure area at the old Eisenhower office building, I'm told, at the White House, which on the White House grounds, not at the White House proper, where chairmen have gone in the past. You can access this raw intelligence, and that's what he did.
Adam, can I explain something to the public as well about what you just talked, the SCIF? Many, many years ago, during the Iran-Contra matter, when I was representing Attorney General Meese, I was out of the government, he was out of the government, and there was secret litigation going on because it was under the independent counsel statute, and I was the chief lawyer for Landmark representing the Attorney General, the former Attorney General. And I had filed a request with the court to have access to all the 6E information. That is information, grand jury information is what I'm trying to say, and it couldn't be public. I had to go to the special SCIF or vault in the basement of the Department of Justice to read it. So this is not unusual. So when the chairman of the committee goes to the White House or whatever it is, the reason is they do not want that information leaving that facility or leaving that location.
Exactly. In fact, I saw some reporters on Friday after we broke the story that were, why didn't they just, actually before that, prior to that even, saying, why didn't they just, the sources, why didn't they just bring the information to you? And, you do any research, go to the internet, type into Google, and it will very easily say that is against, I can't take information off my computer on a flash drive at Fox. So I'm pretty sure that in an intelligence agency, someone who takes something is not allowed, A, and B, if they do, they're going to be known right away. So that's not really a viable option.
Now, you know you're going to come under attack at some point, right?
I mean, sure, if it's for the, but like, you know, I grew up in this, it may sound corny as the old adage, if you tell them the truth, it's, you know, that's all you can do. So I've done nothing wrong. We've done nothing wrong. You know, like they came under attack under Benghazi and said we were making, you know, homeland scripts, among other things. And every single thing that myself, my colleague Jennifer Griffin, what I can speak to, every single thing we reported, which were significant breaks in that story, have all come true. Every single one. And I believe that that's going to continue with this story because we've done our homework. You know, we've background. We've done, gosh, I can tell you how many hours on the phone, everything, different ways we communicate.
Just be careful. You might be surveilled yourself.
Sure,
let me ask you.
Sure, we are.
let me ask you this: is anyone going to try and speak to Valerie Jarrett or McDonough? I believe his name was the chief of staff for the former president of the United States, and ask him what, if anything, they knew about these things.
We've been reaching out. We've been making phone calls. We have I have people I work with that unfortunately I've been on the air a lot, so I haven't had a chance to make very many phone calls myself today. But the folks I work with very closely, including our .com reporter who's been helping me on this, I know she's reached out. We so far haven't gotten a response, but we're going to continue to do that.
Mm-hmm. And this is well, you know, you don't have to comment on this, but when you see what happened to your colleague James Rosen, when you see what happened to AP, when you see what happened to the New York Times reporter, when you see the different things that the Obama administration did, which was quite different from past administrations, it's a concerning pattern, isn't it?
Well, reporters have been messed with before, not just with, you know, I can't give my opinion necessarily on what's happened prior to. Obviously, I know James real well, and that was, you know, what he dealt with was ridiculous. I can tell you that we were told, and I'm not sure if it was politically motivated or not, someone who didn't want the information to get out, told back doing Benghazi, hey, be careful about accepting papers, even if you don't know what they are. If they turned out to be classified, you can be prosecuted. And that came from someone on the inside. So, you know, we have to really watch our back. It's unfortunate because, you know, the idea here is not, I mean, if you want to go after guys, go after the guys that are making stuff up. I mean, go after guys that are doing this for politics. You know, go after guys that are just not necessarily telling the truth. They're asking, you know, questions that are you know, that are clearly loaded. You know, we're not trying to do that. We're not trying to protect anybody. We're not trying to, you know, validate anybody. We're trying to make sure that that as Americans we follow the law, that our government follows the law, we tell the truth, and that we report the truth. That's the idea with the journalists that I work with.
Well, Adam Housley, you're doing a great job. And I really do appreciate the fact that you're going to keep pressing this, because I believe there is a bottom to this, and I don't think we've come anywhere close to it, quite frankly.
I think there's more to come.